A mother begins to realize that something is very wrong with her daughter because she is quieter than usual, and this silence hides a terrifying secret. A seemingly friendly bus driver turns Sophia's life into a silent nightmare. What about you? What would you do to protect the one you love most? Leave your answer in the comments. The sound of car tires breaking the silence of tree-lined streets announced the arrival of Anna and her daughter Sophia to their new neighborhood. It seemed like a peaceful place, with well-kept houses and children playing in the yards. Anna parked the car in front of what would be their new home, a small two-story house with a charming porch, perfect for sunny afternoons. But despite the beauty of the place, Anna couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. The move had been fast and necessary, but something about the neighborhood felt cold. Maybe it was just her anxiety, or perhaps it was the curious gazes from the neighbors, seemingly fixed on them as they unloaded the boxes. "What do you think, sweetie?" Anna asked with a gentle smile, trying to convey confidence to Sophia, who remained silent by the car door. Sophia looked around, her eyes large and curious, but her slumped shoulders revealed what she dared not say aloud. "It's different," she replied distantly, pulling her backpack tighter, as if trying to shield herself from something invisible. For Anna, it was like a small snap in her chest. Sophia had always been a cheerful child, full of energy and with a heart open to new experiences. But ever since the move was decided, she had withdrawn. Something was bothering her daughter, and Anna knew it wasn't just the challenge of a new school or making new friends. There was something deeper, but she couldn't pinpoint what it was. The next morning, Sophia woke up early for her first day of school. Dressed in her new uniform, the girl seemed indifferent to the excitement that this milestone should bring. Anna watched her closely, a somewhat forced smile on her lips as she tried to make conversation over breakfast. "Are you excited to meet new friends?" Anna asked, trying to keep the conversation light. Sophia, however, only nodded vaguely, avoiding eye contact with her mother. The school bus arrived promptly at 7:30, one of those classic yellow buses that always appeared in American movies. The driver, Mr. Roberto, waved from the window with a smile. He seemed friendly, with his graying hair and calm demeanor. But when Sophia saw him, something in her expression changed. Anna noticed the sudden tension in her daughter's body, who now hesitated at the front door. "Come on, sweetie. The bus is here," Anna said with a hint of urgency in her voice, not understanding the reason for the hesitation. Sophia cast one last glance at her mother, as if wanting to say something, but she didn't. Slowly, she walked toward the bus, her feet seeming heavier with each step. As she climbed the steps and disappeared through the door of the vehicle, Anna felt a pang in her chest. Something about that scene bothered her deeply. She couldn't explain why, but the silence and distant behavior of Sophia felt like muffled cries that Anna couldn't ignore. The following days unfolded in a similar pattern. Sophia left for school every morning and returned increasingly silent and apathetic. Anna's attempts to talk about school were met with vague responses. "It was fine," or "nothing much," were the only things Sophia said, as if an invisible barrier prevented her from sharing what was really happening. One night during dinner, Anna could no longer bear the weight of that silence. "Sophia, is everything okay? You've been so quiet about school. How is the bus ride? Is the driver nice?" she asked casually, but her concern was clear in her tone. Sophia stopped eating for a moment. Her eyes seemed to search for something on the table, and finally, without looking at her mother, she murmured, "He doesn't like me." Those words hit Anna like a punch to the stomach. What did she mean by that? Could Sophia be facing bullying? Or worse, could the driver himself be doing something wrong? Anna's mind raced with all the terrible possibilities. But before she could ask more questions, Sophia quickly changed the subject, as if wanting to bury the truth that had almost surfaced. That night, while Sophia slept, Anna lay awake, her thoughts swirling like a storm. She trusted her maternal instinct, which told her that something was wrong, but the uncertainty was suffocating. Each distant look from Sophia, each hesitation when boarding the bus, and now those words. In the following days, Anna paid even more attention to Sophia. She noticed her daughter's growing discomfort with taking the bus and how her energy seemed to drain more with each passing day. The girl who once eagerly shared stories about school now avoided any conversation about her daily experiences. Anna tried to get closer, but Sophia always found a way to evade, retreating deeper into silence. Daniel, Anna's husband, seemed less concerned. To him, Sophia was simply adjusting to the new environment, and it was just a phase. She'll get used to it, Anna. The move was hard. It's normal for her to take a while to settle in, he said, trying to reassure his wife. But Anna couldn't shake the feeling that something much more serious was happening. The lost look in Sophia's eyes, her hesitations, and now the mystery surrounding the bus driver, Mr. Roberto, were pieces of a puzzle that Anna couldn't yet solve, but knew would reveal a painful truth. A mother's anguish is impossible to silence. As Sophia continued to close herself off into a world Anna couldn't penetrate, she knew that she needed to find answers. And those answers would begin the moment she decided to uncover what was really happening on that school bus. As the days passed, Anna noticed that Sophia's behavior kept getting worse. What started as slight anxiety turned into a more noticeable pattern. Sophia began making excuses not to take the school bus. A stomach ache here, a headache there. Each morning, Anna watched her daughter desperately look for ways to avoid that ride, and the worry in her heart only grew. One day, as Anna prepared breakfast in the kitchen, Sophia appeared in the hallway, dragging her feet, her face downcast. She looked at her mother, and before Anna could ask, Sophia quickly blurted, "Mom, I can't go to school today. My stomach hurts." Anna, already suspecting something more serious was behind all the excuses, knelt down in front of her daughter and looked her in the eye. "Sophia, you know you can tell me anything, right? I'm your mom and I'm here to help you." Anna's voice was soft, but there was a firmness in it, a mix of worry and urgency. But Sophia averted her gaze, as if carrying a burden too heavy to share. I, I'm just tired, Mom, she said, her voice muffled by nervousness. "School is boring, and I don't like the bus driver." This was the second time Sophia had mentioned the bus driver, Mr. Roberto. Anna, with her mind racing with theories, could no longer ignore it. "Why don't you like him, sweetie? Did he do something to you?" The question hung in the air, filled with concern and expectation. Sophia hesitated for a moment, biting her lips. He's just weird, Mom. He looks at me funny, and sometimes he says mean things, but I don't think it's anything." The sentence came out quickly, as if Sophia was trying to downplay the issue. Or maybe she was afraid to fully open up about what was really happening. Anna felt a chill down her spine. The way Sophia avoided her eyes, how her voice trembled when she mentioned the driver, confirmed her worst fears. She knew something more serious was happening, but her daughter wasn't ready to fully open up yet. Anna tried to ask more, but Sophia quickly shut down the conversation, asking to go to her room. With a heavy heart, Anna called Daniel, who was already at work. "I think something is wrong with that bus driver, Daniel. Sophia mentioned again that he's weird, and she's always nervous when it's time to take the bus." On the other end of the line, Daniel let out a long sigh. "Anna, I understand your concern, but she's just a child. She might be exaggerating. You can't blow this out of proportion." Anna's frustration mounted as she replied, "It's not an exaggeration. I know our daughter. She wouldn't make this up. I feel like something's wrong. Every day she becomes more withdrawn, more scared. There's something she's not telling us." Daniel tried to calm Anna, saying it was likely just a phase and that Sophia was adjusting to the new school. But Anna wasn't convinced. The motherly instinct burning inside her told her that her daughter was in danger. Something about Sophia's behavior and her reaction to the bus driver was alarming. Now Anna was no longer going to sit back and wait for things to fix themselves. That night, Anna could hardly sleep. Her mind kept replaying the image of Mr. Roberto and Sophia's frightened face. What could he be doing to make her daughter so uncomfortable? She began remembering little details. The way Sophia would look at him on the bus, how she seemed to shrink whenever she saw him. Slowly, the pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together, but there were still many gaps. The next morning, Anna woke up with a plan. As she prepared breakfast, her mind was focused on one goal: protecting Sophia. She wasn't going to rest until she understood exactly what was happening on that school bus. The next morning, driven by her growing concern, Anna decided to follow Sophia's school bus to see what was really going on. After Sophia left, Anna quickly got into her car and, keeping a safe distance, followed the bus through the neighborhood streets. Each stop the bus made felt like a stab in Anna's chest, as she noticed Sophia always hesitating to get on, being the last one on the bus. She would avoid looking at the driver, and her posture was tense. Anna's heart sank, watching how distant her daughter had become. As the bus approached the school, Anna carefully observed when the children started to get off. To her shock, when it was Sophia's turn, Mr. Roberto, who had smiled at the other children, gave her a cold, condescending look. He muttered something, but Anna was too far to hear what it was. However, she saw the immediate effect on Sophia. Her daughter bowed her head, clearly uncomfortable, while the driver remained indifferent. Anna felt a mix of fear and fury rise inside her. There was no longer any doubt in her mind. Something was terribly wrong, and it wasn't just in her imagination. Anna drove home, her thoughts racing. She couldn't ignore the reality anymore. Her daughter was being mistreated, and it wasn't just bullying. It was coming from an adult, someone who was supposed to protect her. That night, as she picked Sophia up from school, Anna made up her mind. They needed to talk about what was happening, no matter how difficult the conversation might be. Later that evening, during dinner, Anna decided to take a different approach. She was no longer going to tiptoe around the subject. "Sophia, what did Mr. Roberto say to you today?" Anna asked, her voice calm but carrying an unmistakable urgency. Sophia, who had been quietly eating, froze for a moment. She glanced up at her mother, clearly caught off guard. Her lips trembled slightly, but she tried to shrug it off. He didn't say anything, Mom. Just some mean stuff." "It's nothing." Anna wasn't satisfied with that response. She felt they were on the verge of something serious, and she needed Sophia to trust her. "Sophia, you can tell me anything. I'm here for you. If he did something, you need to tell me. I won't let anyone hurt you." Sophia took a deep breath, and tears started welling up in her eyes. She hesitated but finally seemed unable to carry the weight of the secret any longer. In a shaky voice, she said, "Mr. Roberto always says bad things to me, Mom. He says we don't belong here, that people like us shouldn't live in this neighborhood, that I'll never be like the other kids." Anna felt her whole body go cold. The words Sophia spoke cut through her like knives. But her daughter wasn't finished yet. "He leaves me for last on the bus on purpose. And once he left me alone on a deserted road. He said it was to teach me my place." Tears streamed down Sophia's face as she spoke, and Anna felt a wave of horror and guilt crash over her. How could she have missed this? How could her daughter have endured something so horrible without her realizing it? Anna pulled Sophia into a tight embrace, both of them crying. A storm of emotions engulfed Anna, the overwhelming need to protect her daughter, the seething anger toward the bus driver, and the crushing guilt for not acting sooner. She felt as though she had failed Sophia. "You should have told me sooner, sweetie," Anna whispered, holding Sophia's face in her hands. "I'm so sorry I didn't see what was happening, but I promise you this will stop. He won't hurt you again." Sophia's eyes, still full of fear, searched for comfort in her mother's words. But Anna knew that this was only the beginning of a bigger battle. What Mr. Roberto had done was unforgivable and illegal. Now she had to act quickly to ensure that he wouldn't have the chance to harm her daughter again or any other child. That night, Anna told Daniel everything. Although he had initially been reluctant, he finally understood the seriousness of the situation and agreed to support Anna in whatever needed to be done. Together, they decided to report the driver to the school and the authorities. The hardest part, though, was coming to terms with the fact that their daughter had been a victim of racism and emotional abuse from someone in a position of power. And even with the fear of not being taken seriously, Anna and Daniel knew they couldn't stay silent any longer. Anna and Daniel knew that the truth Sophia had revealed could no longer be ignored. The next morning, they both headed to Sophia's school to report what Mr. Roberto had been doing. Anna felt her chest tighten with every step she took toward the principal's office, while Daniel walked beside her, now with a seriousness etched on his face. The weight of having delayed action hung heavily over the couple, but their determination to protect Sophia was stronger than any guilt. Upon arriving, the school principal, Mrs. Marisa, greeted them with a polite smile, but that wasn't enough to calm Anna's nerves. Sitting in the small meeting room of the school, Anna took a deep breath before beginning to explain the situation. She spoke about the racism, the hurtful remarks, and the emotional abuse Sophia had endured at the hands of the bus driver, trying to keep her voice steady despite the overwhelming emotion. Daniel, seated beside her, remained quiet, but the tension in his body was unmistakable. Mrs. Marissa listened attentively, but as Anna continued, the principal's expression began to change. The polite smile faded, replaced by a rigid, unreadable look. When Anna finally finished speaking, the principal remained silent for a few moments, as if trying to process everything she had heard. "I understand your concern, Mrs. Anna," the principal began, her tone carefully measured. "But Mr. Roberto has worked with us for over 20 years and has never had a complaint against him. He's a respected figure in the community, and, well, it's possible that Sophia may have misunderstood the situation." Anna felt her heart stop for a second. She had expected some resistance, but hearing the principal's dismissive words felt like a slap in the face. She leaned forward in her chair, trying to remain calm, but her frustration began to spill over. "My daughter isn't making this up," Anna said, her voice firmer than she expected. "She's been traumatized by what she's been through. We're not here to ruin anyone's reputation. We're here to protect Sophia and make sure this doesn't happen to other children." Daniel, who had remained silent up until this point, leaned forward as well, backing Anna. "If Mr. Roberto has been here for so long, maybe he's gotten complacent. Or worse, he thinks he can get away with this without consequences. We're here because we trust the school and we want action. This cannot be ignored." The principal shifted uncomfortably but remained composed. "Of course, we'll conduct an internal investigation, but understand this is a delicate situation. We need proof beyond Sophia's statement. If there's anything concrete, we will take appropriate measures."
The precious thing that must be in the heart before a man can do any good work is the Word of God, which in the gospel preaches, offers, and brings to all who repent and believe the favour of God in Christ. Whoever hears the word and believes it, the same is righteous. Therefore, it is called the word of life, the word of grace, the word of health, the word of redemption, the word of forgiveness, and the word of peace. For whatever nature the word of God is, the same nature must be the hearts of those who believe and hold on to it. Now the word is living, pure, righteous, and true, and it makes the hearts of those who believe in it the same way.
With the support of Paula and Carla, Anna finally felt that she wasn't alone. Together they decided that the best way to pressure the authorities would be to involve the media. If the school and police didn't want to act, maybe public scandal would force them to do something. At first, Anna hesitated. She feared exposing Sophia and the family even more. However, Daniel reassured her, saying that this was no longer just about them. It was about justice, not only for Sophia, but for every child who might be facing the same situation. The following week, a small local news station agreed to cover the story. When the reporter arrived at Anna's home, she was nervous but determined. Standing alongside Paula and Carla, she recounted everything Sophia had gone through. The racism, the hurtful remarks, and the trauma that her daughter had been carrying since she started taking that bus. The other mothers spoke up about their own children's fears, explaining how none of them had realized how serious the problem was until Anna had taken the lead. The news piece aired, and within a few days, the story began gaining attention. What initially seemed like a local issue began sparking discussions about how schools and authorities often neglected cases of racism and child abuse. Soon, other families started coming forward. Some mothers who had previously dismissed Anna's concerns began to realize that their own children were also showing signs of discomfort around the bus driver. Some kids reported hearing the racist comments Mr. Roberto made towards Sophia and other children who, like her, didn't belong in the neighborhood. With mounting media pressure, the school and the police had no choice but to open a more serious investigation. Mr. Roberto, who had been protected by his reputation for years, now found himself at the center of a scandal. The school principal, who had initially dismissed Anna's concerns, personally called the family to apologize for the lack of action. However, Anna couldn't ignore the fact that if she hadn't persisted, nothing would have changed. The principal promised that the school would implement measures to prevent such situations from happening again, but to Anna, those words felt hollow. Finally, the police called Mr. Roberto in for questioning. He denied all the accusations, but the investigation started to uncover a disturbing pattern of behavior. More testimonies from other children emerged, and the case gained even more strength. Anna knew that this was just the beginning of a long legal and emotional battle, but seeing the truth come to light gave her a sense of relief. Throughout the process, Sophia remained fragile, but the support of her parents and the fact that other people were finally speaking up began to offer her some relief. Anna saw it in small moments. Sophia started to smile a little more, and her behavior at school, although still reserved, showed signs of recovery. However, the battle was far from over. Anna and Daniel knew that the trial would be difficult, and that, despite the growing support, there would always be those who would defend Mr. Roberto and question Sophia's credibility. For Anna, the only thing that mattered now was making sure that Mr. Roberto was held accountable for his actions, and that justice was served for her daughter. As the trial date approached, Anna looked at Sophia with pride. Her daughter, despite everything she had endured, had shown incredible bravery. She wasn't alone anymore. Sophia's story had become the fight of many children, and the community was beginning to wake up to the problem. The day of the trial finally arrived, and the weight of the past months felt even heavier for Anna and Daniel. Sitting in the courtroom, they watched their hopes and fears intertwine. Sophia, who had been called to testify, sat beside Anna, her hands sweaty with nervousness. Though she still carried emotional scars from what Mr. Roberto had done, the support from her parents and the other families who joined the cause gave her the courage she needed to face the moment. Sophia, at just 10 years old, showed incredible strength as she took the witness stand. She recounted everything that had happened, the cruel, racist remarks, and the times the driver left her alone on deserted roads as a form of punishment. As Anna listened to her daughter repeat those horrors in front of strangers, she felt a mixture of pride and sadness. A child should never have to go through something like this. But there was Sophia, bravely standing up, not just for herself, but for all the other children affected. Throughout the trial, other families also stepped forward. Mothers like Paula and Carla testified about the changes in their children's behavior, describing the fear and discomfort they felt with the driver. Other children confirmed Sophia's accounts, sharing how they heard Mr. Roberto's racist comments and witnessed how he treated Sophia. This strengthened the case in the driver's defense, based on his long career without previous complaints, began to fall apart. The defense attorney tried to discredit the allegations, suggesting that the children might have exaggerated or misunderstood Mr. Roberto's behavior. He argued that the driver's long, complaint-free career should count in his favor. But every time Sophia or another child took the stand, the emotional impact of their words made everyone in the courtroom realize the seriousness of the situation. Anna held Sophia's hand tightly throughout the trial, feeling every emotion and word as if they were her own. She saw the fear in her daughter's eyes, the fear of not being believed, but also the determination to speak the truth. This was more than just a quest for justice. It was a fight for the dignity and rights of a child who had been deeply hurt. Finally, after days of tension, the verdict was delivered. Mr. Roberto was found guilty of emotional abuse and racial discrimination. He was sentenced, and with that, Anna felt a wave of relief but also deep sorrow. No sentence could erase the trauma Sophia had endured, but justice had been served, and now they could begin to heal. With the outcome of the trial, changes began to happen quickly. The school, which had initially ignored Anna's complaints, implemented several new measures to ensure the safety of the children. Cameras were installed on school buses, and the staff underwent training on racism and discrimination. Additionally, the school set up an anonymous reporting system for students and parents to report any inappropriate behavior without fear of retaliation. The community, which had previously been divided between supporting or doubting Anna and Sophia, also began to shift. The voices that had once accused Anna of exaggerating grew quieter, and the Johnson family's fight was recognized as an important milestone in protecting children who had experienced abuse. Although many had hesitated to support them at first, the undeniable truth of what had happened made everyone rethink how they dealt with issues of prejudice and discrimination. Sophia, though still different from the child she had been before, began to show signs of recovery. Anna and Daniel sought professional help for their daughter, and Sophia began therapy with a specialist in childhood trauma. The sessions were difficult at first, but slowly Sophia began to find her voice again. The shadows that had taken over her joy started to fade, replaced by a shy smile that appeared more and more often each day. Anna and Daniel also went through their own healing process. They realized that fighting for Sophia had brought them closer in ways they had never experienced before. They learned to listen more carefully, to trust each other's instincts more, and most importantly, to fight together when the world seemed to be against them. A few months after the trial on a sunny spring day, Anna found herself standing on the front porch, watching Sophia prepare to take the school bus. This time, the driver was a kind woman, smiling warmly at every child who boarded. When Sophia waved to her mother before getting on the bus, Anna felt a relief she hadn't felt in a long time. Her heart still beat fast, but now with the hope that the worst was behind them. Sophia got on the bus, smiling shyly at the friends she had made at school. Anna watched her take her seat, this time with confidence, chatting happily with the other kids. The bus pulled away slowly and Anna took a deep breath. The fight wasn't over. She knew there would always be challenges ahead. But in that moment, as the soft spring breeze brushed her face, she allowed herself to believe in a better future. What had started as a lonely fight of a mother for her daughter had turned into a movement for change for the entire community. And although the road had been long and painful, Anna knew that love, courage, and the truth would always win in the end. If this story touched you, be sure to share it with your friends and family so they can also follow this exciting journey of courage and overcoming. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories. Click here and check out another video full of emotion that will keep you engaged from beginning to end. Your participation helps keep this community growing, so turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing.